Tether just lost $10 billion, and I want to talk about it. Welcome to Coffeezilla. I'm your internet detective. So, Tether is the world's largest stablecoin, and it's had so many controversies, I couldn't even fit them all in this 35-minute documentary I did. But despite the critics saying for years that Tether isn't backed and that its collapse is imminent, Tether has just sort of managed to stick around like a cockroach in a greasy crypto kitchen. Nobody likes them, we all try to ignore them, but getting rid of them is impossible without hurting business. So, if all of that was true 11 months ago when I first talked about Tether, what's different this time? Well, Tether is in danger of collapsing because for the first time, they're seeing an unprecedented run on their reserves. $10 billion were redeemed over the course of 14 days just these last 2 weeks, which is over 10% of their total supply. And in the event that Tether is not fully backed, this is the way we find out. People keep asking for their money until there's no money left. You can see it from the chart, actually. There's never been anything like this in Tether's history. Already we saw what happens when a coin the size of Luna and UST fails, and Tether is 4 times their size. So a collapse could be catastrophic. But if all of that sounds very scary, let me tell you the other side of the story. Reasons you shouldn't be worried. Because according to Tether, they're fully backed 1-to-1 by US dollars or equivalents, unlike Luna, which wasn't backed at all, meaning Tether could keep losing billions in theory and still have money to redeem their Tethers right until the very last one, which is very unlike Luna. Tether also claims to be world-class in transparency and regularly releases reports from accountants that agree Tether is 100% backed, your money is safe. So you might be wondering, why are so many people, including myself, afraid Tether will collapse? The answer is quite simple, actually, because Tether and their executives are about as reliable as Amber Heard, if you want to know where all their money is. If you haven't already watched my documentary on them, Tether mints new lies about as often as their magic dollars. They lied for years that they were backed 1-to-1 by US dollars, and the New York Attorney General accuses them of covering up losses to, quote, protect their bottom lines. Like, holy crap. So that's the thing. I'm not exactly accusing Tether of beginning to lie. I'm saying if you want to believe Tether, you have to believe they stopped in the first place. And that really is the bullish case on Tether. Nobody even tries to defend their past actions other than to say they've changed. In fact, here's an example of that, a Reddit post which says, Tether is shady, but is it a scam? Let's find out. Yeah, believe it or not, that's a defense of Tether. And in other news, that house over there is smoking, but is it on fire? Not only that, defenders of Tether also point to attestations from independent accountants. How could this be a big farce, they say, when Tether releases reports that are checked by accountants, right? The only issue with this is that those accountants are from the Cayman Islands, which, is sort of the place you go to if you want to dodge financial regulations. And look, I get it. Some people think that accountants are mystical creatures that are bound to the truth and literally incapable of lying. But unfortunately, they're just humans. There are good ones, there are bad ones, and then there are outright fraudulent ones. Like, people seem to forget Enron, which operated for 16 years on the basis of fraudulent audits, which Tether hasn't even released an audit. They've only done attestations. Meanwhile, Enron got one of the top accounting firms, Arthur Andersen, to say that they were making billions of dollars in profits while actually losing money. Like, that happened. And if you had listened to their independent accountants instead of paying attention to all the red flags, you would have been fooled right up until they collapsed and you lost all your money. So I do think something similar could be happening here. I think people are underestimating the risk that MHA Cayman, which was formerly More Cayman, is just lying outright. And that's not an accusation, it's just a statement of probabilities. Either Tether has stopped lying or they didn't. And of the two of them, I personally think the second is more likely. But obviously, it'd be great to know for sure. And one way we might do that is by trying to get the exact records of their reserves, which incidentally, CoinDesk tried to do, and Tether fought and has been fighting in court. They don't want to release the information, saying it would expose proprietary business information. So there's that. Tether doesn't seem to want everyone to know the exact truth of how backed Tether is really, but whatever the number really is, whether it be 100% backed, 99% backed, 50%, 20%, really what that ends up meaning in reality is that's just the number of dollars they can redeem until they're insolvent. And that's exactly why it's scary when suddenly people start redeeming billions of dollars, because now we're stress testing this thing that's sort of propping up a lot of the crypto markets. You only find out if a bank doesn't have the money when people decide to withdraw all at once. And so that's actually another thing I wanted to talk about, incidentally, is who is redeeming all this Tether, because it's not the individuals making a run for it, your average Joe. It appears to be the whales, the guys in the know, which is a very scary thought. We know this because Protos did a massive investigation into who bought the majority of all Tether ever acquired. And what they found is that most of Tether was bought by market makers and big funds and companies. Individuals only bought a tiny fraction. Add to that the fact that you can't redeem Tether except in chunks of $100,000 or more. And this isn't retail traders that are heading for the exits. It's the whales, the institutions like Alameda Research and funds who are taking their money out. And that begs the question, what do these big whales know? Are they just scared of what happened with Luna? I don't know, it's possible. Or is it something else? Either way, I would say if you see a lot of people running towards an exit and you're not, you should probably wonder why they're doing so. And while I certainly hope nobody loses any money on this thing, I think Tether is ultimately a ticking time bomb, which incidentally is what their logo sort of resembles, a nuclear bomb explosion. Anyways, that's basically all I wanted to talk about. Pump the stock, it's fully backed, and thanks for watching.